And then there's a bill on what they call conversion therapy. Tell the folks about that.
Right. So we hear this name, conversion therapy, thrown around out there. And basically what it means is they want to ban any licensed counselor from talking to a child about a biblical worldview of sexuality if they don't want to have a homosexual or same-sex attraction. So they would ban a licensed counselor from counseling a child toward heterosexuality. And what that means in a nutshell is when we have a child that has been sexually abused or exploited in some way by a same-sex person, oftentimes they have anger issues or rage issues and they go to counseling. When it would come out that they want counseling to not have an attraction and to align their behavior with their sincerely held beliefs, they would be stopped from counseling a child toward that kind of belief and behavior.
Yeah, that's a direct assault on the First Amendment, it seems to me.
It absolutely is. And it puts children in danger. You know, these kids that have already been exploited, do we want a vulnerable child to be banned from getting the help that they need?
So what's happening here in Colorado, are we just like some isolated, place where there happen to be a lot of homosexuals involved in the politics, or is there something bigger going on here?
Well, there's something much bigger, and this is where we really need to pay attention to where this all started. You know, many years ago, when people were looking at radically changing policy to call them, or move it toward the progressive area, which we would tend to call a liberal agenda that goes against Christianity, there was a movement born in Colorado to actually go state by state and take down religious freedom and intersect with those parental rights. And it was actually the 10-10-10-20 plan, and they called Colorado their laboratory when they launched this. And they were going to actually go after 10 states for civil unions, 10 states for gay marriage, 10 states for domestic partnership, all by 2020. Well, they've more than met their goal in that. And now they've expanded that even farther, and they're going after the hearts and the minds of our children by intersecting the education system and the counseling system. Because another bill that is on the docket, and we see it in many states, is something to lower the age of consent for a child to actually make a psychotherapy or mental health decision outside of their parents' knowledge or consent. In Colorado, they want to lower that age to 12. And as you heard, I've got 7 children. I know how 12-year-olds are, and believe me, they don't drive. That would be illegal. And they can't consent to sex. They can't consent to many things, even a contract. But we want them to consent to a contractual agreement with a psychotherapist at the age of 12. Now, oh, here's the catcher, though. You parents will get to pay for that because your insurance will have to cover the bill.
Right.
But they don't tell the parent, or?
They don't tell the parent. Now, here's their reasoning. They say that it stops suicidality. However, by law, if a counselor knows that a child is suicidal, they must report that to the parents and to the proper authorities to protect the child. So this means they'd actually be counseling the child before they even have any suicidal thoughts. So how are they pulling them into counseling? What are they fishing for? And why are they excluding the parents? Because that counselor will not go home with the child. The parent will. In the middle of the night when the child is sad, it's the parent that's there for them. If the child takes their dinner downstairs to eat in the basement alone, it's the parent that notices that there's something wrong. They need to know if a counselor has intercepted any kind of knowledge that would actually put that child in a safe position, not a jeopardy position.
So usually what I see with this is there is like several steps down the road, there's something that they're trying to get to with a situation like this. So they're starting with what you just described. But what is the long-term goal, or where are they headed with that?
I appreciate that you asked that question, because here's something that came out in testimony, and I'm going to tie 3 bills together so you kind of understand this agenda that we're looking at. The LGBTQ agenda is actually driving several policies right now. One is a comprehensive sex ed expansion. One is that prohibition on conversion therapy, which is that licensed counseling. And the third is the lowering the age of consent. When the prohibition on conversion therapy was being debated in the House, something came out that we need to pay attention to. The committee chairman of that committee where the debate was happening asked one of those testifying in favor of the bill, does this bill go far enough? And that person said, no, actually it doesn't. But we need to lay the groundwork so that we can come back and actually handle life coaches and unlicensed counselors. And we know that means the church. And then as we were also debating the not lowering the age of consent, because we did not want that lowered. We want to protect children. The sponsor of that bill said, well, this is laying the groundwork for other bills that I have that would actually expand even farther and have a licensed counselor in schools for every 100 children. There would be 1 counselor. and they're looking to actually intercept. Someone said, how would you pay for something like that? And she said, well, we have a relationship with organizations that already provide counselors. And you know what I know? Planned Parenthood actually offers grant money to schools, to come into schools to help with these so-called health clinics. Those are not the type of counselors that we want intercepting our children.